Hello once again, and today I have a really interesting tea, really yummy tea. Again, this is one of the Pete's brands. This is a little more expensive. This is about $12 for this tin, but the good news is the amount of cups, the number of cups you can get out of this, brings the price down to about 30 cents a cup, because you can get a lot out of this. This is Red Cloud Cacao, which we changed the last A and O around and we call it cocoa. We changed the whole word, we call it cocoa. But this is from the cacao pod. As you can see, there are nubs in there, there's little bits of the different pieces and parts of the cacao pod, and it's got a black tea in there as well, a black China tea. And it's also got little bits of vanilla bean in here. And the smell is fabulous. It smells like a chocolatier. It smells like walking into the office of a chocolatier. And the other thing is, it takes after the smell of tobacco to a certain extent. When I was at Villanova, I had a professor who always had a pipe, and he always smoked that very aromatic kind of tobacco, like that Borkum Riff, and all those different the really aromatic stuff, Amphora Gold and all that, and this smells kind of like that, but it's very chocolate, and this is very much of a blend. Now, I had someone ask me in a video previously, is it okay to blend teas? Can you mix teas? And the answer is yes, absolutely. And I'm going to do some videos where I'm actually going to blend a few teas. I have quite a collection of teas, and I'll show you how you can do this and make some really nice tea without really making it overpowering or whatnot. And of course, I've got today, I picked up some fresh Biscotti, and this has a few little slices of walnut in it, and it's just really neat, and it goes really well with this chocolate flavor, because the chocolate flavor, you need something to kind of tame it down a little bit. Now, I will say regarding this tea, one thing that you could do, and this is one of those teas that lends itself really well, if you wanted to add some milk and some sugar into it, you certainly could. I don't ever really do that very much with tea, just very certain teas that are just really strong, but I don't normally. However, this tea, with this just a standard teaspoon, this is just a regular teaspoon. With this tea here, you're going to want to get maybe about that much. So, for this big cup, a little bit more. Now, this is just because this is a larger cup. But as you can see, there's a whole lot of pieces in there of the different parts of the cacao bean, the cacao thing. It's got the shells, it's got little nibs, the vanilla bean, it's got natural vanilla flavoring. And it's a really nice tea. Just really interesting. It's just yummy. It's really delicious tea. You do have to be careful with it, because you can overdo it. Pardon me for bouncing around here. You could really overdo it, and that is to say, putting too much tea in there, and you're just going to, end up in a sugar coma, because it is very sweet. But on the other hand, putting some milk and a little extra sugar, a different type of sugar than what's in there, actually makes it pretty nice. Now, you see how dark this is. This became dark, almost like coffee, almost like a kind of a blonde, this new kind of coffee they have called the blonde, whatever it is, blonde house mix or whatever. That's kind of what this is. It's colored like that. The tea, let me pull out a few pieces of this so you can really see it. These are just shells and pieces of the cacao pod and pieces of the vanilla bean. And this really, really cool Chinese is called Congo, or Congo. They might call it Congo, depending who you're talking to, tea. It's a black tea, but it's not as strong as black pekoe. It's just a really, really nice, just very flavorful, very aromatic tea. This is one of those teas, it's one of the few that you could really just call yummy. It's just really good, just really, really good. So we'll let that cool off for a while, let the leaves and the pieces and parts settle down just a little bit. I do like drinking this without the milk and sugar, although I have drunk it in the past with the milk and sugar. And if you do that, what I like to do with any tea that I'm going to put milk and sugar in is I do like to strain it. I don't like the idea of pouring something onto those leaves and then stirring the leaves all up again, and then you're drinking it and you're sucking down leaves. So I would typically strain it or put it into a pot that has a strainer built in. So that's the tea. And again, the water is obviously very, very hot, so it gives us a few minutes here. So I am a real foodie as well. I like doing things like food and wine pairs and stuff like that, and I like cooking and whatnot. I mean, living alone, you pretty much have to do that stuff. And this is the Food Network magazine, and obviously full of advertisements. One thing I really like about the food channels and the food magazines, and if you go to one of those fine dining restaurants, is how artistic the food looks. Now, something like this, a couple of pieces of I don't know, pork cutlets and put it onto a flauta like that with some vegetables. Mexican fusion cuisine sort of thing, especially because it's Bobby Flay. You might pay $100 a plate for this, and I do object to that part of it. But frankly, there's a nice looking salad. Frankly, though, I don't really feel like I want to pay that money, but it sure does look nice. The food just looks really terrific. Where is it here? It says this is on page 98. That looks fabulous. That looks amazing. So we go to page 98 here. Garlic Lover's menu. Look at that. And see, of course, this is the kind of stuff that made me get so large before, but I've had to lose a bunch of weight and still have weight to lose. But it's meals like this. This is beef tenderloin with, a scardelia. Okay. Minced garlic, vegetables, fresh mint martini. Okay, I can deal without the martini, but there it is. They give you the recipe for it. This is pretty amazing. This is pretty good. Ribs. Who doesn't like ribs? I don't know anybody who doesn't like ribs. Memorial Day cookout. Obviously, this is from last year. Look at these veggies. Look at this stuff. Cooked in a way that they're no longer veggies. They're now a fat-producing meal. Black Silk. I like this coffee. I also like coffee a lot, and Folgers Black Silk is good. I can't make it as heavy as the instruction is because it's dark and black and thick as Guinness, but dilute it a little bit and put some sugar in it. I really like it a lot. All these yummies in here, all these goodies in here. It makes you hungry just to look at it. Cauliflower tabbouleh. That's a nice one. I like cauliflower tabbouleh. It's a good one. Coriander roasted carrots, I could probably do without that just because I'm not real big into coriander. But Japanese crispy pork. skillet rosemary chicken. Now this is a lot more up my alley. You just kind of throw everything in a skillet and just cook it all at the same time with some rosemary, little garlic, a little olive oil. Advertisement for Hillshire Farms cheddar wurst and beer brats. You see? Just amazing things in this magazine, and this is why I have to avoid magazines like this. Of course I don't. I've got a whole stack of these. Because you can only just go to a restaurant just so often. Here's pie. Love these. This is potato chip. This is a potato chip tortilla. Is what this is. It's a meat pie. It's a Mexican meat pie, but it's just really, really good. It's a real nice presentation. They even have gourmet, chef-inspired dog food. Amazing. And there are people that I know whose dogs eat a lot better than they do. Stir fry. For me, a stir fry has to be done right. I can't sit down and eat just anything that you put into a wok and heat it up real hot. Stir fry. There has to be something to it that's good, or I'm not going to be able to eat it. Condiment fixings for tacos, pizza. The Garden of Eden. Yeah, so I end up just drooling over these magazines, and dirt connoisseur, and I have quite often in the past sit down and tried to recreate some of these meals, and it'll say something like it's 560 calories. By the time I got done with it, it was probably 2,200 calories. And believe it or not, this gigantic sandwich is actually an ad for Nature's Pride bread. Macy's. Oh, okay. And so on this one here, you can go, I guess, online, and you find their desserts page, and you indicate the number that you want, and there's recipes, there's desserts, there's pastas, and you can come up with these recipes. It's amazing stuff. Now, I see this here with the dark chocolate, and that's what I wanted to point out about this tea. This tea does have a lot of chocolate. It's got the cocoa powder in it. It's got the various bits and pieces of that. And there are a few things that people may not really know that much about it, about chocolate, except for the fact that it's obviously an antioxidant. It's got the polyphenols. I keep saying phenols. It's polyphenols. It's got the, it can lower the effects, or can reduce or even reverse the effects of free radicals in the body. But there's something else about chocolate. And although you're talking about dark chocolate, which is what this will really is more about than milk chocolate, but even milk chocolate, is that it reduces depression. And when depression is reduced, cortisol is reduced in the body, the cortisol enzyme. And according to a study I read today, it can lead to not only healthier living and healthier eating, just healthier eating habits if you sit down and have about 40 grams of chocolate a day, which is about an ounce They say dark chocolate, but even milk chocolate will work. The thing is, it creates in you, it sets off serotonin, it sets off other feel-good enzymes in your body, and it gets rid of depression. It can really wipe out depression, which will lower cortisol, which means you don't store as much fat in your body. So, aside from green tea, which absolutely burns fat off your body, the chocolate, dark chocolate, or even the chocolate in this tea will help you to reduce the fat accumulation in your body, because it helps to reduce the accumulation of cortisol, and it leads to better health because it's a natural antidepressant. All that in this cup of really yummy tea. Let me try this. Oh yeah, but see, it's got a real, well, I already knew this, but it has a real dark chocolate taste to it, more than a milk chocolate taste. But still, it's really good. There's a real strong odor a real strong fragrance of cocoa. It's just really nice. And I think this particular brand, as they put the vanilla in there, it just really balances it. So, again, this is a tea that lends itself to milk and sugar. And there have been times when I've had it like that, and there are times that I have it like this, just straight up. I don't always like to put milk and sugar in teas, even if it's appropriate or tastes good to do so, because I do like to get the essence of the tea, and I don't like covering it up. I don't like masking it. So, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Whoops. This is Red Cloud Cacao, and it is a tremendous tea. And again, the type of tea in here, I keep losing the name of it because I don't see it that often, is China Congo, Congou. You don't see that kind of tea that often. At least I don't see that kind of tea that often. This is, now sometimes you have to, if you've ever had trouble with the leaves not falling to the bottom, just take your spoon and go like this, and the leaves will very often settle to the bottom, except for 2 or 3 little stubborn ones. Once this tea opens up, even the stubborn ones, when it soaks in and the tea opens itself up and it gets all the water, releases all of its goodness, they will soak to the bottom like that. They'll sink to the bottom. So anyway, this is Red Cloud Cacao tea, available at Pete's. It was like $11.95 for this, but again, there's so much here, and you can use it. You get so many cups out of here. It actually turns out to be about 30 cents a cup, so it's actually a pretty good deal. So, see you next time.